All I need is
It took me forever to realize that they're saying good lovin'.
Oh yeah, no, it just sounded like random nonsense. All right, you ready? All right, here we go. Hey, Dylan.
Hey, Matt. Dude, this is
the
the banter that we need at the beginning of each show.
This is the last episode before the script reading, before Christmas episode. And man, we're ending this season with a heavy hitter.
Very heavy hitter.
One that I can't believe we got 150 episodes in this podcast before we actually got to this one. And I don't know about you. I watched this movie last night, and then for good measure, I also put on the Movies That Made Us episode on Home Alone just to write down some fun facts about the making of this movie. And we're going to start with this right here.
Okay.
So as we know,
yeah,
Home Alone, it's a John Hughes movie, but it's directed by Christopher Columbus.
Yes.
So Chris Columbus basically had a pretty rocky career out the gate. He had been a very established writer. He wrote Gremlins. He wrote a bunch of other well-received movies. I think he wrote the Goonies script, and he wanted to be a director, and John Hughes really admired his work, so he was trying to give him work. And John Hughes was like, you should direct Christmas Vacation. And Chris Columbus was like, all right. And after about 1 week, he said, you've got to pull me off the set. Chevy Chase is the biggest asshole I've ever worked with in my entire life. Yeah. And John Hughes was like, you know what? You're right. Don't make that movie. We'll send someone in who can handle Chevy. I have another script for you. And he sent him the script for Home Alone. And, Chris Columbus basically made the third highest grossing film of all time at the time. And, then he made a bunch of Harry Potter movies and a ton of other stuff and really sealed his fate as the kids fantasy movie guy.
Before we get too far removed from that conversation, can we just say that, listen, I love John Williams. Don't get me wrong. I think John Williams is a brilliant composer. But can we say that some of his sound is very One Trick Pony-esque?
It is, but I feel like it's not in this movie. I think that this is one of the better composition things he's ever done.
But it's so I have more recently watched the Potter movies than I have Home Alone.
Yeah.
Other than Home Alone being on in the background. I feel as we said, much like with Elf, when we talked about that, Home Alone is a movie that has been a very background movie for me, that rather than a sit down and watch. But as I'm watching it last night, I'm like, God damn, I'll be damned if John Williams didn't just fucking remake this soundtrack for Harry Potter.
He's definitely, I think that he is both one of the most important composers in cinema and also overrated simultaneously.
For sure.
Because I remember taking a music history class in high school, not even college. In high school, I took this musical theory class, and man, did our teacher not like John Williams. And they would take the time to highlight, listen to this piece of classical music written from 18 whatever, and now listen to this John Williams thing, and he would just freely borrow pieces of classical music. So I do think that there's to be able to do what he does is great, but I do think that he might be a little overrated.
Yeah, dude, but also we're just two fucking schlubs.
Yeah, I couldn't compose an entire movie soundtrack.
I don't want anyone to think that the Christmas 365 guys turn on John Williams.
No. So I'm going to tell you a few quick facts about the making of this movie, and then I want to talk about something. A few things about this movie that I realized rewatching it, but just a few more of the things that Movies That Made Us I thought was cool. The entirety of their house is just built in a school gymnasium.
That's cool.
The exterior shots are from the actual house, but when they went inside the house, all the rooms were too tight for them to be able to have a whole film crew in there. So they literally rented a school, built the entire house inside the gymnasium, and just shot everything in the gymnasium. But then because they were at the school, they also, I thought this was very, very smart, at the end of the movie when Kevin goes into another person's house and it's flooding, they drained the school pool and built a secondary house inside the empty pool and then had the water coming through the set for the basement that's flooding type effect.
That's neat.
I'm like, that's really, really cool.
Was the house that they built, like, were the rooms similar to the house that they used for exterior shots? Do you know?
They didn't dive into it too much, but I'd imagine it would have to be.
Yeah,
because there are those exterior shots of him, like, looking out windows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then 2 quick ones. One, Joe Pesci made up a fake language to mask his desire to curse because he is just naturally a cursor. So that's where that cartoon, like, was just like him holding back his desire to drop a bunch of fucks in this movie.
Do you remember a couple of years ago when, like, it kind of became a meme and people, I can't even tell if people were, like, telling the truth or not, that are like, trivia fact, did you know that Joe Pesci also played the cop at the beginning of the movie?
Oh,
like,
dear God.
Do you remember that? Like, a couple years ago, that was, like, making its rounds, and I thought I was losing my damn mind.
Yeah. He's not playing the cop. He's playing the character from the movie.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, I was like, what the hell? Am I in fucking, like, a crazy world
did
right
I just
now?
take some crazy pills? And then this is just a phenomenal factoid, and we will get into this later on in the movie. John Candy improvised all of his dialogue and shot for one single 23-hour day.
I am not shocked.
At a minimum wage payment, which actually means... because he shot for, so it's called scale, basically. They just pay you a flat fee per day. So since he got paid for one day, the actor who plays the pizza boy actually made more money in the movie Home Alone than John Candy did. Was just a fun factor that they brought up.
Pizza boy. Yeah.
Now, something that I have really noticed in this particular rewatch, this script is so tight. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Like, it's one of those movies where it's easy as a kid to, like, just ignore a lot of it. And then, like, watching it as an adult or, like, remembering it as an adult, you're just like, how the hell did they lose that kid? But the way that they drop all of these little things throughout the first 20 minutes to, like, build the plausibility of the circumstance, where it's like, you've got, first of all, I was way older than I should have been before I caught on before I could comprehend that, like, it's a bunch of cousins inside the house. Like, not that the McAllisters,
their family.
Yeah, like I was like God damn, the McAllisters have a lot of kids.
Yeah. I just love the lines where they're like, I love the bit where Pesci is just asking them, like, are your parents home? And they're like, yeah, but they're not here.
Yeah, they don't live here. Yeah, like, but like so I wrote down, like, the way it's paced out. So, like, Kevin going missing works out because you have the scene where he gets in a fight with Buzz. They spill milk all over the table and they accidentally throw out a ticket. So they don't realize that they're short a ticket when they hand out the tickets in the van. You have the neighbor kid being obnoxious searching through the van when the head count happens. So it becomes easy for them to accidentally do a miscount. Then they're splitting up everybody into 2 vans. So there's never a point where they're like, it's easy to just write off, oh, Kevin's in the other van type
but
logic.
Like, at the same time, like, that's his fucking parents.
It's just, but I'm talking about, like, them running late for the plane, like the power going out, which cuts the phone line. Like, the guy literally says, like, we got the power back, but it's going to be a while until the phones are working at your, like they just, I think that John Hughes did a really masterful job of, like, literally putting every single breadcrumb in the beginning for all of it to be as acceptably normal as possible.
They suck. Like,
they still suck
as parents.
They suck as parents, but no one sucks as much as Uncle Frank. Uncle Frank is the absolute worst. He is a sociopath. When he
also, why is nobody making sure this kid gets pizza? They're fucking awful people. Yeah. Like, he's like, where's the cheese pizza?
Yeah. Yeah, why would you only order 1 cheese pizza? If you're ordering pizza, like as a person who's had to order pizza for parties, you always go extra on the plane and then do, like, your weird ass fucking toppings. There should never be a point where you're running out of plain cheese pizza
And
at
also,
a family
on the
gathering.
other hand, Kevin, why are you asking the pizza guy for why didn't he bring more cheese pizza?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Why didn't your fucking parents order more, kid? Fuck off.
Listen, well, look, he's 8. He don't get it. He don't get how this works. Something else that I never really caught until this viewing that I think is really, really smart
Yeah.
is when Kevin first realizes he's home alone. I think having the actors reread their earlier lines with a different tone of voice than in the original version is so smart. You know what I mean? Like it's because it captures that like child's version of it. You know what I mean? Like, and I was like rewatching, I'm like, that is brilliant. Like that is a brilliant way. I mean, Frank sucks no matter what, but having him in a moment of rage yell, "Look what you did, you little jerk!" But like in Kevin's memory, it's like a very slow paced, focused, direct comment at him. Like there was
And that's
just
how kids take stuff too.
Exactly.
Like that's exactly how the kid would take that.
And I think we're getting the superpowers of like John Hughes and Chris Columbus. I feel like are two of the top filmmakers who just get childhood in like a very deep way. So like having their powers combined in this movie is perfection. There's so much like childhood dream fulfillment. Like to this day, I would still love to ride a sled down my stairs out the front door. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Be like the most incredible thing in the world. And like you have to shut your brain off while watching it, obviously. Like the rocking around the Christmas tree scene is completely illogical, but still brings me so much joy when it's happening. Like,
can I just say, like, this is kind of going towards the end, but when Kevin's like super sad at the end and he's like imagining that his parents are never coming back, and Teddy just looks over at me because it's been many years since either one of us have watched this, and she looks over at me and she goes, "God, it's so sad. Like this is such a sad moment." And I just I looked at her, complete straight face, and I said, "You think that's bad? They lose this kid again."
Yeah, that is the second time.
I was like, "You think that's fucking sad? Wait till they go to another goddamn state and lose this motherfucker."
I mean, the second one actually makes more sense.
Yeah.
In the sense of like they at least lose him in the airport.
Yeah, for sure. But it's just so funny that listen, if this happened to you once, though,
oh my God, you're
never
live
letting
down,
this kid
live
out
it
of
down.
this fucking sight.
No,
like you are holding this kid's hand.
This is what those baby leashes were invented for.
Exactly. Exactly.
Put down that smartphone and listen to me. I'm Matthew Milligan, professional musician and lifelong Weird Al fan. Each week, I'm joined by professional podcaster and close personal friend Matt Kelly to take a dive off the deep end into the vast career of pop culture icon Weird Al Yankovic on our show, Weird Algorithm. Along with some very special guests from the worlds of music and comedy, we tackle every song, every television appearance, and every bit of sketch comedy Al has produced in chronological order, covering the good old days of My Bologna and Eat It, the fun zone of tacky and white and nerdy, and everything in between. As we go, we're ranking the songs, albums, and music videos in the hopes of creating the ultimate guide to a career bigger than the biggest ball of twine in Minnesota. So the next time you're having one of those days, stuck in a traffic jam, wondering why does this always happen to me, just kick off your sneakers and stick around for a while because we've got it all on Weird Algorithm, available wherever you get your podcasts. And now you know. Was that enough references?
You know, talking about sad moments, though, a scene that as a kid I absolutely despised and now as an adult I think is the best part in the movie is the scene with the neighbor and him inside the church.
Fuck
oh
yeah.
my
So
God.
good. It's so good.
It's like the music's good, the conversation. It's that like beautiful conversation of like a child just seeing things in the simplest of solutions and it being the solution.
Yeah.
Like the solution is just like, well, call them and say you're sorry.
Yeah. Like what's literally the worst that could happen is you're still in the same boat.
Oh my God. But that scene, like that is one of those scenes where if we're going to do like, did you cry? That scene every fucking time gets me. Like
That
not
one
like a
doesn't-
full blown like weep, but like definitely like the tears welling up a little bit while it's happening.
The follow up to that scene gets me.
When he sees him
Kevin looks out
outside.
the window and sees.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
It's
God damn. I'm gonna start tearing up now.
it's
man.
I mean, I think that this is one of those movies where it's so big. It's so massive. It's on every year. Like you said, it's background noise. It's easy to forget how well it balances comedy and drama throughout the entire runtime. Like there's no fat to be trimmed from this movie in my eyes. Like it's all good. And John Candy, who I brought up, like steals the show with like all of his lines. Like when he shows up, it is like the level, it is that perfect tension break of just a purely goofy character.
Oh yeah.
To like relax everything. And like just every line that he said when he's just naming his songs, he's like, you know, polka, 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 polka. Like, and this, my favorite line of delivery in the whole movie comes from him where they're in the van, everybody's asleep, and he's telling the story of leaving his kid at the funeral home for a whole day. And he's whole like, day. You know,
just him and turns
out, turns out it was just him and the corpse in there the whole day. But you know, he got better. He started talking after 6 or 7 months of therapy, and
just total straight face. Like total he's not face. Kidding at all.
But the line that kills me is Catherine O'Hara goes, "Maybe we shouldn't talk about this." He goes, "Well, you know, you brought it up."
I think like this is that would be both the best and worst trip ever.
I would be loving it. Sure. If I was trucking a van with a polka band, I'd be in heaven, dude.
Yeah, you would.
I'd be yelling out suggestions. I'm like, you guys know Happy Days are here again?
Can you guys wake up? Can you not sleep? I need you to play me some tunes, please. So what's absolutely wild is like, think of this movie in like today's context. Because I feel like if this movie came out today, there's no way it becomes the third highest grossing movie of all time.
No, dude, this was and watching that Movies That Made Us made me remember this 14 weeks in a row as the number one movie in America. And I think that it was in theaters for 6 months. Like a movie that came out on Thanksgiving, which means that in March it was still profitable enough, this very Christmas movie, to still be in theaters.
What is the modern day equivalent to that? Like, what is the highest grossing movie that is not based on a previous franchise?
I don't even fucking know.
Could it be like Avatar? I guess
it would be the
like
first
the
Avatar. One? Yeah, like I guess
that's
the first
insane.
Avatar. But like I think the other element of this is like there was an element of scarcity with the movies back in the 90s. You know what I mean? Like things didn't come out on home video for like a year or two after its theatrical run. And they even talked about how like it came out on Thanksgiving. It did really well. It beat Rocky V and was the number one film at the box office. And then, I mean, you laugh now because Rocky V is terrible. No, because Rocky V is terrible. But at the time, you're like, hey, this
Rocky
is
V,
this is the 5th entry in like a proven money making franchise that they just took down.
Space by 5.
But like he said, like just as maybe people were starting to like wane on interest, all of a sudden winter break hits for all these kids in school. So then there's this whole second desire to see it again because they have a week or two off from school. Like it was a smart release plan. And I really, really have grown to love this movie and the sequel. Like the sequel's dumb as hell, but I still love it.
It has been a longer than this one. Cause at least this one, I feel like airs more than the sequel. I don't remember anything about the sequel besides like the Tim Curry stuff and the Donald Trump stuff. Like
I did not see this one in theaters, but I definitely saw Home Alone 2 in theaters with my family. Like that was a family trip to the movie theater. You know what's crazy, Dylan? We are 22 minutes into this and we have not really talked about the Wet Bandits at all.
I don't know, man. I feel like the Wet Bandits portions have been touched on so much.
I was going to say that I think that was
much.
That was so much of the selling point in the 90s of it being this goofy slapstick movie. And now it kind of is at the point where once the Wet Bandits show up to rob the house and all the booby traps are set, I'm like already checked out. Like to me, the movie peaked at the church scene as an adult. Yeah. And then it kind of hits a lull until the family comes home at the end and you get like the big, beautiful Christmas morning sequence.
Here's how much of a lull it was. And this is big coming from me, and you'll understand this as well. When they did the paint, the paint bucket scene, I literally looked at Teddy and was like, "You've never seen Better Watch Out, have you?"
Oh, no.
Yeah, like that's how much of a lull it hit where I was like, I think you would be interested in that. Even though I'm not a big fan of it. Like, she's never seen it. I think that's a fun movie to watch with someone who's never seen it.
I will say that there is a scene in this movie that I still have to look away from the screen when it happens, and that is Daniel Stern's barefoot on that nail.
Yep, on the nail.
Cannot fucking do it. I have to look away every single time. It is a brutal close-up. And I guess I didn't write this down, but another thing they bring up in movies that made us is like, this movie really changed, like they said this movie changed the vernacular of how stuntmen refer to stuff. Like now to this day in 2023, if a stuntman's doing a giant pratfall where they get a lot of air and fall on their back, they literally call it doing the Home Alone. Yeah. Like you have to like...
Is that the Cars, I think?
Yeah, like the Cars. And it's a lot of it. If you really look at it, it's a lot of back injury stuff.
Oh, these guys would be dead.
This one, they'd be pretty badly. 2 is where they would definitively be dead. 2, they're getting electrocuted. They're getting bricks thrown at them.
Skeleton one?
Yeah. Like this one, they definitely, I mean, you and I could both agree that there would be, I think just me slipping down the ice, I'd be like, well, I'm done. I've given up my pursuit. The BB gun to the face would have been a good point for me to clock out and be done. Like, I would have tapped out many a times.
Yeah.
But
were they going to literally kill this kid, do you think? Like,
I think they were
doesn't show up, do you think? Because Joe Pesci makes, of course, just a threat, but saying, I'm going to bite off every one of your fingers and shit like that. Do you think they would have killed this kid if the old guy didn't show up?
I think that they probably would have in real life.
Yeah.
The second movie, it is just out there that they are going to kill this kid. They're like, no, we want to murder this child for both revenge and B, because he's a witness to our crimes and can turn us in. Like, they don't really treat it like, oh, we've got to kill him because he's a witness in this first movie that much. It's just like,
we're just pissed off.
Yeah, we're pissed off. I mean, the director of photography in Movies That Made Us says, like, I just watched a shit ton of Looney Tunes cartoons.
Yeah.
And, like, considered, like, how do we get that? And they actually talked about, he had a thing that he called the chicken shit cam.
Yeah.
Which was, like, they had the normal cameras, and then he got, like, an old camera that could take a beating.
Yeah.
And he's like, I would just set that as a wide shot for every single stunt so that if anything went wrong, we got like at least a wide shot of the stunt, like it, so that we're always getting the shot. And he goes, but then when we were in editing, we were like, oh, these are some of the best shots. And then he's like, we learned that because that thing could handle a beating, we would just like throw it down a chute, like throw it down the laundry chute and get like a POV shot of like the iron falling down the chute. Like it just became like what was supposed to be like the backup cam became like the main camera for a lot of those stunts. This movie becomes more and more painful when I watch it as an adult. As a kid, I'm just like, they're falling and getting hurt. But not for me anymore. And I guess that's the same with Home Alone 2. Like now when I watch those movies, I could care less about the subplot with Marv. Like it's like I just want to see Kevin remind people how great Christmas is.
So let me reveal something. The one of these I've watched the most is Home Alone 3.
So my sister, I think she used to get pissed because I said that she said it was the best one. She's like, no, I'm not saying it's the best one. I'm saying that it deserves way more credit of being a good movie than it gets. Like of like the Home Alone movies, it is just as good as 2.
Yeah.
So
I would say so. Like I really like the main kid in it. He was also Max Keeble in Max Keeble's Big Move. We got Scarlett Joe.
Yeah. I think it's just tough. It's tough when you're essentially recasting a like very popular two movies, even though it's not like he's playing Kevin. It's a totally different thing. But then also like, and then that becomes a straight to video release. It like already makes everyone just suspicious right out the gate of like, well, this is going to be bad, so I'm not going to watch it.
Very much so.
Yeah,
very much so. But I don't know, man. That's the one that I watched the most. I loved the trap where he set the trampoline on top of the swimming pool. I thought that was so fucking cool. I always wanted to go jumping off of out of the roof onto the trampoline and go through it to a swimming pool. I thought that would be so much fun. But then we got Home Alone 4, and then the newest one that you and I both refused to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it.
I didn't.
Oh yeah, no, I watched it.
If
you want good coverage of that, there are plenty of people on YouTube who've done good videos.
Yeah, don't expect us to.
But I mean, even with that, at the end of the day, I still think that this movie is one of the greatest Christmas classics. Like, we're looking at this movie now close to 40. Yeah, we're getting near. We're about 35 years, almost 35 years old, and that movie still like holds strong. You know what I mean? Like, it still works.
Oh my god!
And I think that if you play, I know friends who have kids who their kids love this movie.
Oh yeah,
like this is
movie
going
holds
to be
up in a big bad way. For
yeah,
sure.
This is going to be eternally a Christmas classic for years and years and years.
Yeah, dude, excellent flick. Great pick to kind of close out our normal. Wait, no, this is right before. I thought we were close to the end, man. Jesus Christ.
I mean, we're essentially close to the end. This is it's going to be our live script reading of Frosty the Snowman, and then we're going to talk about our Christmas mornings.
Fuck yeah, man.
And then it's going to be all the new shit. Oh, we've got so much, and we'll address it here right now. 2023 not looking like the best year for new Christmas content, but what's been interesting, Dylan, and maybe we'll see a lot of this.
Mm-hmm.
I've had 2 or 3 people in the Geekscape podcasting world that really want to talk about some Christmas stuff.
Yeah, same, man.
So maybe we'll get the new stuff. We'll front load with the newer stuff that people want to talk about, but maybe we'll just have a shit ton of guest episodes in January and February as well. I know at least 3 different people have hit me up. One with a new Christmas album they really want to talk about.
Yeah.
And then someone else who wants to talk about a classic Christmas thing from their childhood.
And we also have people that have hit us up directly
for like spring and summer ideas.
Man. So like, again, if you are out there and you have something you want to chat about Christmas wise, especially if you're putting out your own product Christmas wise, we would love to chat with you. Again, now is just not the greatest time for us because we are knee deep in the classics, but that time is coming up. Dude, it's almost Christmas, and I'm super fucking excited. I know I sound kind of down. It's just been a rough day in general, so I'm trying to pick myself up, though. Home Alone's great. Christmas is here. I'm super stoked about it. How you feeling, Matt?
My home is never alone when you're around.
Oh, my home's never alone when you're around, friend.
Merry Christmas, buddy.
Merry Christmas!
Whoa, oh, whoa, oh, oh. Now we won't stop till the big ball drops on New Year's. Have a happy holly. Have a great, great, great holly. Have a merry, 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 happy holiday.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.